Hey guys, so today I want to share with you, I am making, I'm trying to make a guest book for my niece's birthday, and I have to tell you, I mean, I have done hundreds and hundreds of scrapbook layouts, but every time I change format or something, it's like a new set of skills that I don't have. And yeah, and especially I'm kind of feeling the pressure because it's something that I want to make like really pretty. And yeah, it's just okay. So I'll show you. I had the hardest time of thinking of a format. I wanted something that the point is that people can easily come and write their wishes and all that. So I didn't want something like a photo album with page protectors because that would make things more complicated. But I didn't want to just give people cards and then put it in an album because I still wanted to have something pretty there. And I thought, I looked online, I thought about different formats, I thought about like smaller albums, but that still kind of has the whole page protector thing. And eventually I got this album from Prima, and it's made of like really sturdy chipboard, and then it has here, it's turned, okay. So it goes like this, and then it has these, and then I got another one in a different format because I thought one is too little, and I was gonna add pattern papers everywhere and then kind of figure out how to make it. But I was starting to work at it, just covering things with gesso because I didn't want the craft showing. And I don't know, I wasn't enjoying this at all, but that's the least of the problems. I just didn't like, I really like the sturdiness of this. And I think it would make a really fun mini album. So maybe I will repurpose it for that or something. But I don't know, it was just, I wasn't in love. So then I decided to, I have no idea what my my niece and sister-in-law, what they are expecting, so I don't want to disappoint them. But anyway, I also want to have something really inviting that is not kind of a bit intimidating for people to just come up and write down stuff. So I decided, I ordered this Cuddy sketchbook a while back, like a few weeks ago, and it has watercolor paper. I was going to use it as a sketchbook for watercoloring, but I decided I'm going to use this. So the size is, I think it's really nice, and I think it's the kind of size that, it will be fun for her to pull it out and look at it. It's not too small. And yeah, the papers are already in here, so I have a good base, and I can make it more decorated or less decorated. The paper is really lovely. This is the smooth paper, and it has a bit of texture, so it's not completely smooth. And it has these deckled edges, which I love, and I think that's a really pretty look. Also in Hebrew we write from right to left, so that also works here. There isn't any format issues or something weird on the cover or something like that. And yeah, so what I hope on doing, I think there are a lot of pages here. I think it'll probably remain a little bit empty, but then she can draw and add all kinds of stuff. I'm going to give her for her birthday some art supplies and stamps and that sort of thing. So I think she can continue to decorate it. What I pulled from my stash are a bunch of Project Life cards. Most of these that I pulled are from the mini kits that that they used to have in Project Life. I have no idea if it still goes on, but these are from the Maggie Holmes, one of her first collections. I think it was I don't know, maybe flea market, and Dear Lizzie's polka dot party, which I loved. So I really picked out the cards. Oh, and there's another and a few papers from one of the crate paper mini kits that they had. So this, for example, is from there. It's one-sided. And I picked out the cards that only have a place to write without any English on them, or almost without any like words and prints, because I want it to be mostly in Hebrew. And I also picked up some 4x6 cards. And what I'm going to do, there were actually, I think I counted 50, because there's supposed to be 50 guests. So I think I have, at some point I divided it to 50, but now I messed it up. So I think I will just make, maybe add some embellishments and some pattern papers behind it, and then have on each page like 2 small cards, and or one, this is not a good example because it doesn't have a place to write on it. Okay, like this, or maybe one big card. And I'm thinking I'll go through my pattern papers and maybe add some pattern papers behind them. I'm thinking kind of to switch it around between more minimalistic pages and then some more decorated ones. And I'll also bring with me to the actual party some extra supplies that my niece and her friends can create their own pages with. The also I'm going to bring my little printer that I showed you, the HP Sprocket. So that is my plan, and I hope I can film. I think I'm just gonna gather my supplies, so maybe I'll do another video of that, and then maybe I'll film this process. I'm not sure. We shall see. But that's the plan. And yeah, I really like this. It's kind of I don't know, it's like simple in a pretty way that I really like. I have no idea what my niece will think. I'm very nervous about it. I hope she will, you know, like it, because I really put my heart into it. Bye. Okay, so I think this will actually be pretty fun to use up my stash. I have here some ephemera packs. This is what I call my Dear Lizzie little box here, even though it has a bunch of manufacturers, but kind of that feel. And this is my Maggie Holmes crate paper box. So what I think I'll do, and these are just some papers I pulled from my stash, so most of these are Dear Lizzie and crate paper. I think I'll just switch around between, keep it within the same manufacturer, at least for the papers and the major embellishments, and then maybe add some extra embellishments if I see the need. But I think that's what I'll do. I kind of will play around with the Dear Lizzie or Maggie Holmes, depending on which cards I'm using. So I'm gonna get started. Hey guys, so I'm gonna speed this part a little bit because it's kind of boring. I started with just measuring my page and then translating it into inches, because my ruler works in centimeters, but my scrappy brain works in inches. So what I discovered is that a piece of 9 by 7 inches works really well on this size of sketchbook, and that's what I did. I cut a bunch of patterns to 9 by 7, and that's how I started. I was going to do one side with pattern paper, and then I was going to leave the other side without it. And as I progressed into the process, I noticed that I can also use the one piece of the 2 scraps I have left from cutting my 12 by 12 papers to this size, that it makes for a really nice accompanying design to the opposite page. So I started with this box of die cuts, and then at some point I just switched to stickers for a couple of reasons. One, because it was faster, and two, because this got very bulky. This sketchbook has a lot of pages in it, and at some point I started taking some of the pages out because it was getting too bulky, and I added the extra pattern paper and the cards and everything, which I'll talk about in part 2, I think, anyway. So it was just getting a bit much, and the die cuts have more bulk usually than stickers. So this was still the beginning, and I have to say, with every page that I made, it became faster because I kind of simplified my process. I started just with gluing the pattern papers on every page, and then I kind of worked in, just not finishing every page, but instead doing the same step, like step 1 in every spread throughout the book. Then, so step 1 was adding these my basic pattern papers, and then step 2 was adding the project life cards, and then step 3 was adding embellishments. So at the beginning I started with kind of doing everything all at the same time, and then I realized that it was very time consuming and just not as efficient. So after a couple of pages I kind of switched gears and figured out the best way. And if you have a system and you choose to do a repetitive design, which I think is a good idea when doing such a project, then things start to happen really fast and they become really simple, because you're basically you made all the decisions already and you're basically doing the same thing over and over again. So this was, as you saw, like the second page that I created, so I was still kind of more messing with it. And I have to say, I used a bunch of stuff in this guest book. I used like my favorite stuff. It's not that I used things that I didn't like. And it was just really fun to get some use out of it. I find myself many times that I'm really grateful to have a stash when I'm doing something like this, and even though I've never made a guest book, there's always something like end of the year in the kindergarten or something that suddenly I find myself using a lot of papers or supplies on one project, a lot more than what I usually use for a single layout. So it's nice to have. And actually right now I don't really have any more 12 by 12 paper pads, the ones that I think pretty much now every collection has, the single-sided 12 by 12 paper pads with 48 papers. But for these type of projects, they are fantastic because they are affordable and they have tons of paper in them. So you can really get your money's worth out of those. They usually cost like, I don't know, $15 or something like this. Sometimes they're on sale in the big US stores, and you can get them for a coupon. So yeah, those are really great for this type of purchases. So this is what I'm talking about. At some point I realized that I can use that scrap for my other side, and that's how I moved on. I'll see you in part 2 tomorrow, and I'll show you the finished project.